All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. And today's main topic is that John McAfee is going to be backing a Bitcoin private, which is kind of unusual. And we'll get into that in just a moment. We also have a lot of other good news to talk about today. But first things first, I want to talk about this Steam It article that was posted about me. It says 100% scam-free cryptocurrency news or your money back. And now I'm not sure what money you ever paid other than donations, but still pretty funny regardless. And it basically just talks about how I'm not scamming people or frauding people, which, you know, that's a good thing, right? Because I don't think you should really be rewarded for not scamming and frauding people, but that's the way the cryptocurrency world is that the people that aren't frauding and scamming are like awesome, I guess. Well, I don't want to consider myself awesome. Maybe just a little. I don't know. Come on, Coca-Cola. Where's my partnership? So the Coca-Cola partnership probably should have been in this article, but that's okay. I'm gonna let that fly. So it is by Kiwi Scan Fly. So you should check out his article here. It's going to be in the description below. Please upvote it and check it out sometime. It's pretty short, but upvote it because it was for me. So upvote it. But anyway, let's get into the real news today. Is that the price boost ahead? John McAfee invited to support Bitcoin Private. So Bitcoin Private is still waiting to see its fortunes reverse as its drift with a low market price and small-scale trading. But this time, Rhett Creighton, ousted from the core Bitcoin Private team, seems to have dedicated to take matters into his hands again. Creighton reached out to John McAfee to allow guidance for the project and provide team members and leadership to the privacy coin. John McAfee seems to warm up to the proposition, creating a meme a few hours after Creighton reached out. And the reaching out to at official McAfee happened. Creighton announced a theft from the Bitcoin private treasury, hinting at continuing potential abuse of funds. A previous series of chats in the Bitcoin private team reveals a failed outreach for a Binance listing, as well as abuse of the treasury fund. Currently, the community is also split between two Telegram groups trying to figure out the future. As for Creighton, he may be in for a rehabilitation or a takeover of the project. He is also involved in Bitcoin Prime, which forked from Primecoin. Bitcoin Prime is yet to launch and is still gathering up a community. The controversy surrounding Bitcoin Private may continue to hurt the coin's fortunes, but in the case of successful listing to a larger exchange, the support of John McAfee may prove to be the most valuable asset. Maybe, but the coin itself still needs to be quite useful for it to, really go up in price. But anything that John McAfee backs is honestly gonna get pumped at least a little bit temporarily. So Bitcoin Private has been going way downhill in terms of price for some time now, and it seems to be like a punching bag for pump and dumps. It is pumped and dumped and pumped and dumped numerous times, as usually most coins typically just get pumped once and then they're just done from there, except some of the higher coins where even like Bitcoin and things like that have been pumped and dumped numerous times, but it always retains relatively the same value. So here's his Twitter, and let me just bring it down to, so I have been asked by many of the 52,000 supporters of Bitcoin Private to lead a cryptocurrency privacy movement. Is this what my followers want? Overwhelmingly, yes. And then it shows this sweet meme here. Don't think about stealing the boss's Bitcoin Private McAfee Elite Security Force. And of course I had to comment, John, while your shilling is legendary, you bleed awesome. Just because John McAfee's actually kind of hilarious, but I just don't like his shilling. So if anybody was wondering what the bias was, it's not really, it's just that I don't like the antivirus, even though he doesn't really have anything to do with that anymore. And I don't like his shilling, but everything else about him is actually kind of funny. I think on all in honesty, like if I was actually hanging out with John McAfee, would probably have a good time. Like I think him and we would be shooting some guns and, all kinds of other things. Sure, why not? So John McAfee and Bitcoin Private could raise the price of Bitcoin Private, and so we'll have to see. I don't have CoinMarketCap up right now, so I don't have the exact price or anything like that, but it may go up in the future just because of this. But don't get me wrong, it's probably not going to stay up, so if you want to buy into some Bitcoin Private just to ride the hype train of John McAfee up, just make sure you look for that top and sell before you get burned by the bottom. So Coinbase acquires Paradex and sets a tone to allow users to trade hundreds of tokens. Excuse me, losing my voice. San Francisco-based digital currency exchange operator Coinbase has entered into a deal to acquire Paradex, which will allow customers to trade hundreds of tokens and keep it ahead in the competitive cryptocurrency space. So the Paradex platform enables its users to exchange cryptocurrencies directly with each other without the need of a middleman. What distinguishes Paradex from other exchanges is that it does not maintain custody of the tokens on behalf of its customers. Instead, users exchange coins peer-to-peer directly from their wallets. So this will significantly enhance the proposition for our customers in terms of what they want to trade and how they want to trade it. As soon as we can, we're going to turn it on the U.S. We're greatly increasing the number of things you can trade, and we're doing it in a compliant way. So I don't know why Coinbase and slash GDAX still hasn't added additional coins. Again, I'm not running an exchange, so I don't know how hard it would be, but it doesn't seem that hard. If you have $1 billion exchange, why not add Ripple and some other, and just a lot of other coins? I mean, we have this ticker above here and this. And why not just add like half the coins that are ticking across the screen here? That's the question that everybody's asking. Once in a while, Ripple comes up on the radar, and people are like, "Oh, they're going to add Ripple," and then they don't add Ripple, and the price of Ripple goes up, and then it goes way down. It seems weird to me that they need to acquire Paradex to add hundreds of other tokens. It doesn't seem like it's that hard. I mean, Binance does it, Poloniex does it, Cryptopia does it. Kraken does it. A lot of exchanges, most exchanges, in fact, have a ton of altcoins. I would say that Coinbase has the least tokens of just about any exchange, other than maybe the Robinhood app or whatever. I think you can only trade, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm not sure. Don't really deal with the Robinhood app. I know everybody thought it was going to be the future, and maybe it is, but I don't like the idea of them holding on to my coins. And I can't trade all of the coins just for the freeness of it. So nothing is free. So U.S. launches criminal probe into Bitcoin price manipulation. And I hope, somebody gets to the bottom of it, because the price manipulation of crypto is pretty extreme. And it's very, very apparent. You see it all the time. If you just look at charts as much as I do, or anybody that is in the crypto world, because I know we're all kind of addicted to the charts by now. You see it all the time. Whenever you see a gigantic explosion in price that just goes straight up, that was definitely one or just a few people spending a lot of money pumping up the price. And then what happens then is that everybody else sees that price pump, and then other people buy in, which pumps it up even further, and then they can sell it. The people who pumped it can actually sell it for way more than they just pumped it up, way more than they just bought it. And it's very easy to do in the crypto world, considering how low the market cap is. The Justice Department has opened a criminal probe into whether traders are manipulating the price of Bitcoin and other digital currencies. Well, they are, but it's a matter of fighting them. Dramatically ratcheting up U.S. scrutiny of red-hot markets that critics say are rife with misconduct, according to 4 people familiar with the matter. And so this is kind of what we get in an unregulated market. So there's kind of a weird thing now in that crypto was for the people, by the people, and no deal with the government, and it was all just on its own, all unregulated. And the problem with that is that you get all these pump and dumps, you get all this you get all this manipulation and fraud, and so I think crypto within a few years is definitely going to be in a totally different place, whether it's for better or for worse. We're going to see a lot of regulation coming soon, because in the stock market world, pump and dumps are illegal, but in an unregulated market, pump and dumps are not illegal. So the investigation is focused on illegal practices that can influence prices, such as spoofing or flooding the market with fake orders to trick other traders into buying or selling, said the people who asked not to be identified because the review is private. Federal prosecutors are working with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, a financial regulator that oversees derivatives tied to Bitcoin, the people said. So authorities worry that virtual currencies are susceptible to fraud, you think, for multiple reasons. Skepticism that all exchanges are actively pursuing cheaters, wild price swings that could make it easy to push valuations around, and a lack of regulations like the ones that govern stocks and other assets. So Bitcoin has extended its Thursday declines after Bloomberg News reported that the investigation was down 3% to $7,409 as of 9:32 a.m. London time. It's down more than 20% since a May 4th peak. Such concerns have prompted China to ban cryptocurrency exchanges and nations, including Japan and the Philippines, to regulate them, contributing to a slump that has sent Bitcoin below 8,000 this year. Still, digital coins continue to be a global investment craze, drawing legions of loyalists to industry conferences, generating celebrity endorsements, increasingly attracting the attention of Wall Street. So traders could be colluding, but I don't think I want to get into it any further. But I really want to focus right here. It says, including Japan and the Philippines to regulate them, contributing to a slump that has sent Bitcoin below 8,000 this year. And so, at first glance, it seems like the regulations have brought down the price of crypto, and that may be true. So without the regulations, we may still be at 20,000. Maybe, maybe not. So nobody really knows if the regulations brought it down or not. But either way, if regulations brought it down into a regulated level so that there's no fraud and conspiracy and spoofing, maybe the price of Bitcoin was never meant to be 20,000. Maybe 2017 was just a fluke, and it's not meant to get to 20,000. So that's why I say, my price prediction for the end of the year, maybe 25, maybe 35,000. These people that are saying 50, 75, 100,000 by the end of the year, it's absolutely ridiculous. Because I think 2017 was just the hype train, and then once the futures got in, and once the FUD got in, and once the mass selling the Mt. Gox, it brought it all the way down. And so we're in a weird situation. Nobody really knows if Bitcoin was ever meant to be 20,000 like it got to or not. Perhaps without all of that hype train, we may only be at 8,000 without that big dip. Maybe if it was just an organic, usual growth with no gigantic crash like we saw, maybe it really only should be about $8,000. So that's kind of an interesting question. So I'm not going to read this entire article, but it will be in the description below. And it just goes, and I kind of want to mostly just show you it. So Verge is one of the most unsafe, risky investments in all of crypto. I kind of slightly disagree with this title, yet I do agree with it at the same time. Now, I disagree with it because one of the most unsafe, there's plenty of very, very unsafe cryptos in the market, including ones that are outright frauds or ICOs that are just going to take your money and leave. But at the same time, in terms of some of the top 50-ish market cap coins, I'm not sure exactly what Verge is at right now, but just go with it. Indeed, it is. It's rife with corruption in a number of ways. So if you haven't heard yet, the Verge protocol was compromised recently once again 2 days ago. What makes it even more alarming is that the same exact issue that compromised the chain at the beginning of April, I wrote about this article here. It was in this thread here on Bitcoin Talk, posted by user OC Miner, who says he was running a mining pool on Verge at the time where the issue was exposed in full. As you can see, this was the issue in a nutshell, basically spoofing the timestamp between the different algorithms. Because basically what happens is that Verge will run on script, then X17, then Lira, etc. And somebody spoofed the mining blocks with a timestamp, so that they could just essentially continuously mine, and that the algorithm was essentially thinking that it was an hour behind every time that you would spoof one of these stamps. And by doing that, somebody was able to mine every single block, but basically every second, even though that it wasn't intended to do that. So the Verge mining algorithm is totally messed up, totally screwed. Does not work correctly. And some other things about Verge is that they were saying that they have partnerships with what was the Nano wallet, or one of the hardware wallets. Pardon me for not remembering the exact wallet, but it was basically a hardware wallet, and they were saying that they had a partnership with them, and that just simply wasn't true. So where is it here? I think it's this one. Last before tweeting, there was been a first contact with a former Verge dev last September, and we answered with our standard quotation email. Nothing since then. I can repeat it. There was neither a partnership nor any business agreement between Ledger wallet and Verge. So they were saying that they had this partnership with Verge, that they were going to be integrating soon, and that's what the donation funds were for. So that they could pay, because there was this big, massive donation of Verge where they received millions and millions of Verge, essentially millions of dollars worth of Verge in donations, so that they could pay Ledger for their integration into that hardware wallet. However, Ledger states that they never had any agreement and that it doesn't cost any money to be integrated with the Ledger wallet. They will either help developers integrate their coin into their wallet, or they will give you a list of instructions that will allow you to do it yourself and be integrated with their wallet. So where did that donation money come from? And then some people started to think that the donation money was for the partnership with MindGeek, which includes Pornhub and several other sites, and everybody was all excited for this this hidden partnership that nobody knew what it was about. When they announced that it was with MindGeek, the price went nowhere except down, which I said numerous times why it's not going to help the price, because nobody's going to go way out of their way to buy Verge, which would raise the price, just to go on to Pornhub and buy a subscription. It's totally ridiculous. Nobody's going to do that. Very few people are going to do that. Anybody that actually already held Verge and then bought a subscription with it, if that's what they chose to do, that's not going to raise the price of Verge, right? Because they already had Verge. You have to buy something to raise the price of it, and nobody's going to go out of their way to do that. So supposedly people think that they paid MindGeek for this partnership. And if you have to pay somebody for a partnership like that, then it wasn't a very good partnership to begin with. So where did all this money go that everybody gave them? So this is it's a pretty good article about Verge, and now we're seeing these constant Verge attacks. So either A, the developers are completely incompetent and they cannot fix this because they said that they fixed it before, but now here it goes and happens again. So what's most troubling is that 18.6 million Verge were estimated to be stolen on April 4th through the 5th. 18.5 million Verge were transferred from a wallet that Verge owns directly to Binance a week and a half later. The excuse was given was that the payment was needed for Ledger wallets, which is demonstrably false. So the same hack vulnerability that the devs claimed to have fixed at that point in time was exploited yet again just 2 to 3 days prior to me writing this. The actual fix for this issue exists, yet apparently has not been pursued for some reason. All of this evidence begs the question of whether or not this was an inside job at this point. So why do they have to pay for Ledger wallets when Ledger says that they don't? Where did this money go? Where did all of your donations go that you gave Verge, that anybody had gave the Verge developers? Why do they need this donation? Why do they need to pay? Supposedly, maybe it was to pay MindGeek, but why do you need to pay if you have a good partnership with somebody? Nobody needs to pay. Maybe just a little bit to to implement your partnership a little bit. Maybe there is some funds that go by, but the whole idea of a partnership is that I don't need to pay you a ton of money, millions of dollars, just to be integrated into your system. We should both have a mutual agreement that, hey, I'm going to make you money and you're going to make me money. Maybe I'll make you a little bit more money than you're going to make me. Maybe vice versa. But either way, a partnership is a partnership, and as long as each person is making more money than they were before, great, all said and done. But this just isn't the case. So given the price deficit and the cheesy model of using overhyped partnership announcements to boost the price of the currency, it seems though as Verge is running out of options, and the 80% price decrease since its all-time high indicates this as well. And for all those still holding Verge, my only question remaining is, when will you finally sell it? I totally agree with this article. What is going on with Verge? I think sooner or later somebody's going to figure it out, and somebody might be going to jail or be have some kind of punishment for this, because this is looking really strange. See, there's the Pornhub announcement and then all the way down, so it clearly did not help anything. And so where is all this Verge going? And I'm wondering why anybody would still hold Verge at this point. So cryptocurrency exchange verification is getting weird. So back in the day, before cryptocurrency was worth anything, an email address and a password was all you needed to log into an exchange. Then come 2FA using email verification or Google Authenticator. And then came the third generation of secure sign-in methods, and that's when things started to get weird, from fit the puzzle to make the gesture. So as attackers have gotten more sophisticated, so have the measures cryptocurrency exchanges have taken to keep them at bay. These are designed to fulfill a range of objectives, including spam and bot deterrence, as well as to perform increased due diligence for legal reasons. So Binance, with its fit the puzzle piece carefully, which has spawned numerous memes and kept its customer support busy attending to users who can't fit the puzzle. KuCoin, meanwhile, began asking odd questions of its customers a few weeks ago and then repeating those questions every time they went to log in, much to their annoyance. So please ensure that you meet the following conditions for login registration. So yeah, it's your KuCoin.com, and KuCoin asks the important questions. Comply with the laws, anti-money laundering, with more than 2 years of experience in securities, and can bear more than 50% of the loss, even with the risk assets of zero. Official age over 18. Bittrex will force you to log in twice after clicking a link in your email stating that it doesn't recognize your IP, even though you're signing in from your usual location on your usual device. So the quirks of logging into major exchanges has been assimilated in cryptocurrency culture, and while many users may grumble, they accept these measures in place for their own benefit. Gate.io's latest verification trick, though, has gotten traders talking. So enter your gesture informations. Please make sure that photos without watermark, no stains, no reverse text, gesture information is clear and complete. Please submit your gesture information. So examples. So now you have to take a picture of yourself to log in, apparently. So prove that you're human. Completing KYC for Gate.io in a public place is no longer viable, but perhaps that part of the plan to embarrass users into upping their OPSEC by logging in at home. As part of the verification process, users are required to create 4 out of a possible 9 gestures before their webcam. From a security perspective, it's certainly effective. Bots have yet to master human gestures while pulling gang signs. So no other industry would the public tolerate such bizarre security measures. Cryptocurrency is different, though, undergoing unorthodox procedures at the price that must be paid for trading on exchanges. So yeah, you know, I've noticed this too. You know, it's getting worse and worse. And now when you sign up to Coinbase, you have to hold up your ID. Then you have to take a picture of yourself holding up that ID. All kinds of stuff that makes it kind of a pain. But I suppose in the name of security, I guess. But it was much easier some time ago. So Craig Wright, fake Satoshi, was ousted from meeting with Jack Leo, founder of Bitcoin Gold. So Craig Wright had to be escorted out of an event after a standoff with the founder of Bitcoin Gold, Jack Leo. I don't know if I'm saying that right, doesn't matter. During a conference in Taiwan, Wright once again tried to dodge questions about a real proof he is Satoshi Nakamoto. Then he attacked Leo for answering an audience question in Chinese. Bitcoin Gold has managed to survive since October 2017 when the fork was first launched. Lately, however, Bitcoin Gold has largely disappeared from the radar, with a months-long slide seeing it halve from $100 level to hover around $47.62. The most recent move by the coin to disable ASIC mining did not manage to create a renewed interest. At this point, BTG remains a coin led by mining economic, where a flat and unmovable price is not such a problem for miners that regularly cash out. Bitcoin Gold has been trading on extremely low volumes of around 2,000 BTC. And then there was the double spending attack that we had talked about last time. So an unknown party with access to very large amounts of hash power is trying to use 51% attacks to perform double spend attacks to steal money from exchanges. We've been advising all exchanges to increase confirmations and carefully review large deposits. So who would have all of that hash power? Let me think. So Bitcoin Gold, mind you, isn't the biggest coin in terms of difficulty required to hash it. It is, however, an equihash coin. So that means that you can mine it with any GPU, mostly NVIDIA GPUs, as they're typically a little bit better, than AMD GPUs. Now, AMD GPUs are better at their own things as well. They're better at Ethereum. They're better at CryptoNote, either way. Because typically they have faster RAM than NVIDIA. However, they have typically inferior hardware for crunching out equihash and some other coins. So, you know, it's kind of a horse apiece depending on what GPU you have. Will typically result in, you know, mining this for most profitability, or if you have this GPU, it's going to be this for the most profitability. But for the most part, any GPU can mine equihash pretty well. And equihash includes Zcash, Zclassic, Komodo, Bitcoin Gold, Zencash. I think there might be a couple others as well. So to get all that hash power would be pretty tremendous. You'd have to have a good warehouse of GPUs running. So where else, what kind of institutions would have this hash power? And really the only few that I can think of, one is NiceHash. So you could go on to NiceHash and pay a tremendous amount of money for the hash power itself, but I'm not sure if that would even do it. The other contender that I can think of is Bitmain themselves, as Bitmain has been known for their notoriously bad practices, as they have 7 or 8 warehouses filled with their own ASIC miners, and then another warehouse filled with their own script ASIC miners for Litecoin. And also they were mining their own Monero. While it hasn't been proven, it's pretty much the only people that could possibly have done this was that they were mining their own Monero miners for a year clandestinely. So they had never announced their Monero miners. Then when the Monero devs decided that, hey, this is getting a little outrageous, this difficulty, this has to be either people with Monero ASICs or they or botnets are getting pretty extreme. So let's do something about it and fork our coin just a little bit. So it changes the algorithm to Kryptonite v7. And sure enough, the difficulty absolutely bombed after they did that. So obviously there was somebody mining for a long time on some ASIC miners. Obviously it wasn't the botnets, and so it had to be ASIC miners. The only people with ASIC miners was Bitmain, and then they decided to sell them as soon as that announcement for a fork was announced. And so, you know, the people that receive these miners, they can't mine Monero with them. They can mine the old Moneros and some other crypto note tokens, but most of them are all pretty bad altcoins and aren't that great. None of them have a very high price or are really going anywhere, in my opinion. You know, I'd love to be proven wrong on that, but most crypto note coins, aside from Monero, are pretty garbage. So where could that possibly have been? So, you know, they used a double spending attack with all of that hash power. And I can only really think of a few places where all of that hash power could come from. Some of these cloud mining, maybe Bitmain, because they did have Equihash miners, and they do have a ton of Equihash miners, and I'm sure they have been running them for a while or are running them now. And that's really the only place I could think where that kind of incredible amount of hash power would come from. So this is the video of Craig Wright, and this is actually from the alternative angle, from the speakers, and you can find this video on YouTube pretty easily from the other side of other people from the crowd actually taking the video. And so fake Satoshi here, Craig Wright, got angry at the Bitcoin Gold founder. So they were messing with him about he was dodging questions about being the real Satoshi because he claimed that he was the real Satoshi. So everybody calls him fake Satoshi. And when the Bitcoin Gold founder began to talk and answer a question, he was answering it in Chinese, and that angered Craig Wright. So this is just after he was angered by that, and just when he was just about to be kicked out.
Bullshit is like it's a shame for the whole cryptocurrency. So here's the question: which one do you want to have answer?
Which one do you want to have answer?
No, that's right. Well, then who goes? One of us goes.
One of us goes. Either him or me. I wonder who it's going to be. Let's all take a guess right now. Do, 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 do. All right, here we go.
One of us goes. Which one do you choose? Why should you choose him? Here's the emergency country. Goodbye. Fake Toshi.
Goodbye. Fake Toshi. Glorious. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you, once again, Kiwi Scanfly, for making this super cool article about me. Please go here and just give a simple upvote to this, or maybe even hit this button here and re-steam it just for me, because it would be awesome. And just for Kiwi Scan, because, well, actually, I'm not going to receive anything out of it, but go ahead and upvote him. But I thank you guys for tuning in, and as usual, I will see you guys next time.